Well, good morning. How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. I'm having an all right day. Could be better, could be worse. As you can see, I'm at home. And I've been at home for like a week. That's the reason I haven't been uploading videos. I tried to upload videos a few times, but I don't edit. And if anything goes wrong with a video, I just delete the damn thing. So things went wrong, and I never got a completed video. So what happened? So the last video I uploaded, I was in San Diego. I had a pilot Friday morning, and after I recorded and uploaded that video, I left there at about 10, 11 a.m. and drove up to Moreno Valley, California, the San Bernardino, Fontana area. And I picked up a load at a Harbor Freight distribution center. For anybody who doesn't know what Harbor Freight is, it's like a hardware store. It's a chain of hardware stores like Ace Hardware. I've never been in one. I've never been in a Harbor Freight, but I have heard of them. So I picked up a load there. The Harbor Freight distribution center was awesome, tons of room, except where they told me to park my empty. They had a bunch of construction equipment they were using. The space that I would normally have to park, they were using that as a storage area for construction equipment. That's what all these jackasses do at these warehouses and distribution centers. They're like, oh, look at all this space. Let's put stuff there. And all that space is there so that we can safely, maneuver around in these lots. And then they end up using it all for storage, and it gets to the point where it's almost impossible to get into some of these places or get out of them. But anyway, you can almost straight back every spot at this Harbor Freight distribution center. There was so much room, except this one spot. Well, there was about 5 spaces, and they wanted me to park my empty in one of them, so it sucked. But it only took me like 2 minutes to get in there. Had to get out and look a couple of times because it was real tight. But dropped the trailer, picked up a loaded. There's a 34,000 pound load. They had scales on site, axle scales. I don't trust on site axle scales, so if it's close, like within like 1,000 pounds of being illegal on an axle, except the steer axle. I mean, the steer axle is always within 1,000 pounds of being illegal. Um, well, not in every state because it's like, well, that's a whole different video. Most states, a single axle is 20,000 pounds, but you are limited by your tires and your axle rating. Like my axle is rated for 13,200 pounds. So anyway, that's a whole other discussion. But nothing was close to being illegal, so I didn't bother scaling it somewhere else. If they would have been close to being illegal on any axle, then I would have. I don't trust the on-site scales at any place. I would have gone and gotten a cat scale ticket somewhere. But left there and continued eastbound going to Jacksonville, Texas. It was holiday weekend, July 4th weekend, so traffic was crazy. And there was a lot more traffic outside of town than normal. So it was bumper to bumper outside of town. Really hard to change lanes. Traffic was so congested. And then once I got over into Arizona, traffic cleared up a little bit, but at mile marker 70 on I-10, traffic just stopped. There was an accident around mile marker 81, so it was like a 10-mile backup. And I was stuck in that for around 3 hours. They initially reported 4 people dead in that accident, then 5, then 6. It was a big truck, rear-ended a couple of vehicles, killed a lot of people, injured a lot of people. The driver of the truck was not injured. I don't know what caused the accident, what led to it, but it's just, I feel bad for everybody involved. It was probably a couple of families that were going out to enjoy the holiday weekend. The driver of the truck was probably, maybe headed home to enjoy his holiday weekend or her holiday weekend. I don't know if it was a guy or a girl driving the big truck. But it's terrible. to hear, about something like that. It was a nasty accident. And because it was a fatality accident, they had to spend a lot of time investigating, which is what led to the huge backup. There were points when we didn't move for 30 minutes, just completely stopped for over 30 minutes. But I finally made it through that, and I stayed. I took a 10 at the TA in Tonopah. Got there like around, what was it, 9 p. No, it was around 7 p.m. Friday night when I got there, because I started my day at 5 a.m. Saturday morning. Left Tonopah, Arizona, and at around 10, 11 a.m. I made it to Dempsey, Arizona, or not Arizona, New Mexico. And that was a fuel stop, topped off fuel. And during a walk around inspection while I was fueling, I noticed one of the trailer tires had the recap had started separating. But I already had plans to stop, and I think it was Benton, Texas, right across the border from New Mexico into Texas, on the northwest side of El Paso. There was a Petro, and the trailer that I picked up, the preloaded trailer that I picked up in Moreno Valley at the Harbor Freight Distribution Center, was 3 months overdue for a DOT inspection. Now, it still was legal because the DOT inspections that we do at Landstar are the exact same DOT inspections everybody else does. They're good for a year. But Landstar requires we get them done every 120 days. So it was overdue according to Landstar standards, but it was still completely legal to drive. So I was looking for a place to do a DOT inspection, and I had already picked out that I trip planned to stop there at that one particular place, because it's hard to find a place that has a Landstar certified DOT inspector on a holiday weekend. It was not easy to find somebody that could inspect that trailer. And when I picked up the trailer, it had a ripped mud flap. It wasn't too terribly bad, but it was going to get worse over time. So I wanted that mud flap replaced. And then on the way there, that tire started separating. It looked like a bunch of tires had just been replaced on that trailer. So I think those were fairly new recaps that just weren't done very well. And as I was driving it there, they started separating. That one tire did. But I was only 70 miles away from the Petro, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just drive it there. I'm not going to, get the tire fixed here. That's dangerous. I wouldn't advise doing that. If one of those recaps comes off, it can cause a lot of damage, and it can injure people. It can blow out tires, can rip air lines, rip electrical lines, rip your mud flap off, throw debris all over the place, and those tires are really heavy. They fly off 70 miles an hour and they hit another vehicle, they can do some serious damage. So not the smartest thing for me to go ahead and drive on that recap that was starting to separate, but I did it anyway, and I made it there without issue. So sometime probably around noon, 1 o'clock, I made it to the Petro on the west side of El Paso. I think it was Benton, Texas, not sure, don't quote me on that. And it took like 3 hours for Landstar to approve the work order. I called them to find out what in the hell was going on, and it just so happened that when I called, they said that it had been approved 3 minutes before I called. But they told me that they were short-staffed because of the holiday weekend, and volume was much higher than normal. So they had insufficient staffing and higher than normal volume. So apparently it's not normal to sit around for 3 hours for Landstar to approve a work order. But then after they finally approved it, it took another hour roughly for them to do the work. They replaced the mud flap, replaced the tire, did the DOT inspection. DOT inspection passed. And then I drove for another 4 hours and made it to a rest area just south of Odessa, about 40 miles south of Odessa on I-20. Got there at like 9 p.m., stayed 10, started driving again at 7 a.m. Sunday morning, and I didn't drive for very long. I drove to just south of Dallas on the I-20. There's a TA on Bonnie View Road. I got there at approximately 1 p.m., topped off fuel, and then parked. And I sat there for a day and a half, from Sunday at 1 p.m. until Tuesday morning at around 3 a.m. Because I had like 3 extra days on this load. And I didn't want to sit at the store in Jacksonville, Texas for 3 or 4 days. There's no showers or anything there. So, but Harbor Freight paid $500 extra on the load in layover for me to get there a day early. They wanted me to sit there a day before the appointment to make sure that I was on time because they had issues with people not showing up on time. So I left around 3 a.m. Tuesday morning and went ahead and drove to the Harbor Freight store in Jacksonville. Got there at about 5 a.m. There was already another Landstar driver, and he was parked in the middle of the parking lot. I don't know why he parked like right in the middle of the parking lot. So I parked on the edge of the parking lot and went ahead and, like as I was coming to a stop, that other Landstar driver started up his truck and started moving his truck. And I was like, oh, is he going to come over here and park next to me? No, he didn't. He drove by me, and as he was driving by me, he was just turned and just staring me down. There was a period of at least 5 to 7 seconds where he was just staring at me. As he was driving, he was looking out the side of his window over at me and just staring at me. And like he drove past me and he just kept staring at me until he was turned backward looking at me, just staring me down. And it wasn't until he made it past me to the point where he couldn't see me anymore that I'm guessing he turned forward. He was driving and he never turned his head to look and make sure there wasn't something in front of him that he was going to hit. He just stared me down. While he was staring me down, I waved at him and smiled. He didn't wave back. I don't know what this guy's problem was, but what he was doing was he drove around to the back of the building and he parked in front of the dock so that nobody else could deliver before him. I think that he thought that I was trying to jump him in line or something like that, trying to get ahead of him on my he seemed really pissed off at me for some reason. I don't know why. But he wanted to unload and he was really pissed off because apparently he thought that I was trying to unload before him or something. I don't know. He seemed like a real asshole. He was a really old guy with white hair. He had a lot of real bushy long beard and stuff, gray and white. A really odd looking fellow and kind of creepy. I don't know what the fuck that shit was all about, but I closed my blinds and went to bed. I made sure to lock my doors. When you got crazy fuckers like that around, you got to lock the doors, right? Yeah, and I was sitting there just watching TV, hanging out in the truck, and I got a knock on my door at around 4 o'clock in the afternoon Tuesday. Now, my delivery appointment's not until 8 a.m. Wednesday morning. And around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, after I'd been there for 11 hours, get a knock on the door. So I hop out of the truck and go out there, and it's the manager of the Harbor Freight. And he's like, "Are you my 8 a.m.?" I'm like, yeah, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. And he said, if you want to, you can go ahead and back up to the dock, and I'll have my crew out there in an hour to unload you. They'll be out there in an hour. I was like, awesome. That's great. I'll go over there right now. He said, they won't be there for an hour, though. You can go there now, but they won't be there for an hour. I'm like, all right, it's good. It's all good. So, I went over there, and sure enough, at almost exactly 5 p.m., they showed up back there. And they were all really nice. We cut the bolt, popped it open, backed up to their dock. Their dock was a raised cement slab that was still quite a bit lower than the back of the trailer. It was like a foot lower, maybe a foot and a half lower than the trailer height. So they had to use pallet jacks to take stuff to the back, and then they had a forklift to take stuff, but they had to bring things to the back of the trailer with a pallet jack. I didn't sit back there for that nonsense. I went back in the truck and I was looking for a load. I was browsing my computer trying to find a load, and I ended up not finding one. And there wasn't any decent, like, the nearest decent loads, and these weren't good loads, these were just like decent loads, were 300 miles away. And they were mainly down in Houston. And like they were decent loads. When I say decent, I'm talking like they were paying like 350, 380 a mile to go places like Minot, North Dakota. Out in the middle of fucking nowhere where you're probably going to have to deadhead 300 to 500 miles to get another load. 350, $4 a mile isn't quite enough of a premium for me to go into a location where I'm going to have to deadhead a full day out of. So there just wasn't like anything really good. And then it was after 5 p.m. and I was like, well, even if I find something decent, I'm not going to be able to book a load until tomorrow. And I'm only 300 miles from my house. I could be home by midnight. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go home. I'll look for a load out of the house. So I did. I drove 300 miles to the house. I was home by midnight. And initially, I was just planning on sitting here for a couple of days and then going back out over the road. But I'm lazy. When I get home, I typically stay home for a week or two or three or a month. That's just the way I am. And that's the way I have my business set up. Like, the whole reason I got into trucking was so that I could do exactly what I'm doing. If I were not able to run my business the way I run my business, I would not fucking be an owner operator. There's no way in hell that I could stand to do this job working, 70 hours a week, 3 weeks out, and then come home and take like 3 or 4 days off and then go back out and do it again. I can't live that lifestyle. So anyway, that's a whole other video on the way I run my business and the way my business is set up and stuff like that. I think I've made a video on why I do things the way I do. This is like an early retirement for me. That's the way I see this is kind of like my RV life. I just get out and drive around when I want to, go home when I want to. And I make enough money when I'm out and about that I can take almost as much time off as I want. But anyway, so initially, like I said, I planned on being here for just a couple of days, and it wasn't just because I'm lazy on why I stayed longer. There's a lot of reasons on why I do the things that I do. One big reason on why I decided to stay more than a couple of days is because I have a Landstar DOT inspection due by July 23rd. So if I don't have the DOT inspection done by July 23rd, then I can't book any more loads. It's a hard cutoff. I have to have it in by July 23rd, but I can't get it done until I'm within 14 days of July 23rd. So that 14-day period started on Friday. So that's when I could go and get a DOT inspection done. And I've been trying to get my DOT inspection done at Big Rig Product, and I've been getting the runaround with the compliance department. And I gave up on talking with compliance. That person I was talking with was not helpful. She wasn't even bothering to read my emails. She was just like replying back with macro canned response bullshit that had nothing to do with what I asked. She was like sending me links to where I could go find inspection sites, and she was telling me when my inspection was due and stuff like that. And I got tired of like emailing with her because she wasn't taking 2 seconds to read my damn email. So anyway, I just gave up and I went ahead and just got my DOT inspection done at a TA. That's what I did this morning, Monday morning, July 12th. I went and got my DOT inspection done. I don't want to get my DOT inspection done out on the road because of the way Landstar does their DOT inspections. If you fail something on a DOT inspection at Landstar, your truck is put out of service. You can't drive it. You need motor carrier authority to move a commercial vehicle on a public roadway. And Landstar says that you can't use their motor carrier authority to move the truck if you fail a DOT inspection. And these Landstar, the reason they make you use Landstar certified techs is because the Landstar certified techs have to follow Landstar policy and procedure. And part of that is that they have to notify Landstar immediately if somebody fails an inspection, and Landstar immediately puts you out of service. So if you want to get, like if they tell you have to get a tire replaced, you either have to get it replaced at that inspection site or get a roadside call where somebody comes out to that place, or get your truck towed to another place. You can't drive it somewhere. You cannot drive your truck anywhere. So I don't want to be in that situation out on the road in a place I'm not familiar with. Here in Oklahoma City, I'm familiar with a couple of mechanics, and like it's a lot more of a comfortable atmosphere for me. I don't want to get stuck somewhere in the middle of nowhere because of the stupid way that Landstar does their damn DOT inspections. At any other place, you fail a DOT inspection, you can just go somewhere else and get another DOT inspection done. These mechanics are shady. They will fail you on shit just to get work orders. They work on commission. So they'll fail you on something that makes them a lot of money that's not a lot of work for them. They'll do weird, stupid shit. It's really pathetic, the things that these mechanics do. And I was terrified to go down and get a DOT inspection done at the TA. And I was afraid of them, coming up with like a couple $1,000s worth of shit that they wanted me to do. But I got down there, and my truck is in tip-top shape. There's nothing wrong with my truck. And if they would have come back with something, then I would have been like, prove it. I want to see it. And I'd tell them, this isn't a preventative maintenance check. Is it illegal? It's not illegal. And I would have gone round and round in circles with them on it, but that luckily did not happen. I have a short fuse, and I would have made a scene had they called me on some bullshit and tried to, make some money off of me there. I'm surprised that I'm not banned from the Volvo dealership. I made a huge scene there. I cussed them out, yelled and screamed at them, and I'm really surprised that I don't have a picture on the wall in that place. But anyway, the guy passed my DOT inspection. He seems pretty solid. So that's where I'm going to get my truck inspected from now on. And specifically that guy, I'm going to have him do all my DOT inspections. I don't want to risk anyone or anything else. And he said that he's got a lot of people that with Landstar that will only work with him. So now I'm a new person that will only work with him. So it's Chris. He goes by Sweets. Sweet or Sweets is what he told me everybody calls him. At the TA off Morgan Road in Oklahoma City. He's very fair on his inspections. He doesn't do bullshit. So yeah, got that DOT inspection done today. I just sent in my maintenance report. So I got the DOT inspection done today, got the maintenance report sent in. I don't really know if I sent the maintenance report in correctly. I just sent it to the compliance department to their email address. I'm not sure if that is what I'm supposed to do or if I'm supposed to like send it somewhere else. I don't really know what the like correct process and procedure is for it because this is the first time I've ever sent one in. But it lists the compliance department's email address at the bottom of the maintenance form that explains how to fill it out and stuff like that. It lists that email address and it says to send in your receipts along with your maintenance report, and that's what I did. I sent in my receipts and my maintenance report. So hopefully I'm good to go with that. And that's about it. We're pretty caught up on that. So the position I'm in right now is okay. Well, there is some preventative maintenance stuff that I was planning on doing whenever I came home from being out on the road, but I was only out on the road for a week. I was planning on being out on the road for like 3 weeks, and then when I got home, I was going to do preventative maintenance on the truck, the APU, and an overhead on the truck. It's a valve adjustment. I'm not a mechanic, so I'm just telling you what I read. When I bought the truck, it was making a ticking noise. I don't know how to describe it other than just like a really fast ticking noise coming from the engine. And you can only hear it when the engine is at low idle, when it's quiet. And I've been trying to figure out what in the hell that noise is. I thought it might be something with the clutch. And then I found out about an overhead that's supposed to be done every 300,000 miles, I believe, on my particular engine. When I bought the truck, it had 450,000 miles on it. I don't think they've ever done an overhead. And the symptoms of the valves being out of adjustment, from what I read, is a ticking noise. So I don't think it's ever been done on the truck, and I think it's the cause of the ticking noise. I talked with Trey at Big Rig Product, the mechanic that does almost all of my work on my truck and my APU. Asked him if they can do an overhead on it. He said they've never done an overhead on a Volvo, but they've done overheads on other engines. And as long as they have the specs that it's supposed to be adjusted to, shouldn't be a problem. But he's not sure exactly how long it's going to take because they've never done it on a Volvo engine. So he said it'd be between like roughly 2 and 5 hours of labor, no part cost. And that they charge $100 an hour for labor, so that's $200 to $500. A truck PM is $350 roughly. An APU PM is $100 roughly, so that's $450, and then $200 to $500 for the overhead. So looking somewhere in the ballpark of $700 to $1,000 of preventative maintenance that I am planning to do, but I'm not gonna do it right now. I'm gonna go back out on the road one more time, and then when I get back, I'll do it because, like, my PMs on my truck are supposed to be done at like 30,000 miles or something like that. And my last PM was done like 10,000 miles ago, 15,000 tops. So I'm nowhere close to the mileage because I don't like run very hard. I don't do a lot of miles. And I had a PM done just before I joined Landstar. So actually, let me double check that just a sec. All right, I just double checked it. I put on a few more miles than I thought since my last PM. My last PM was done at 501,671 or 691 miles. And I have right at 521,000 miles right now. So I've had 20,000 miles since my last PM, and my PM interval is 30,000 miles. So I've still got 10,000 miles before another PM is supposed to be done. So, if I go out for a couple more weeks, then I'm still going to be probably 5,000 miles shy, but I'll go ahead and get it done at that point. So, yeah, that's the plan right now. Is I'm going to go back out on the road one more time, and then when I get back from that, then I'll do about $1,000 in maintenance on the truck and the APU, and get them back in tip top shape. Keep them in tip top shape. I don't know when exactly I'm going to leave the house. Let's take a look at the load board. Let me pause this. All right, so we're looking at the load board now, and let's see what we got going on. Let's see if there's any awesome loads. So number one, I'm not leaving the house today. That's just not happening. So these loads picking up on the 12th, no bueno. This has a pickup window between the 12th and the 13th. What's the deal on this? This is a multi-stop load. These jackass fucking brokers, man. So, like, I've already looked at this Springfield, Missouri to Portland, Oregon load, and it is a multi-stop load. They don't have it listed as a multi-stop load. This thing has, let's look at the details on it. Down here in the comments, 10 delivery stops. They're not putting this crap, like, these shady ass brokers, they just do this shit to get more eyes. I think I've talked about this several times in my videos. These listings that they put on the load board, these are advertisements, and they put really shady shit in these listings to try to increase the number of sales leads, the number of calls, the number of eyes on it. If they can get you on the phone, they might be able to talk you into taking the load. So they lie like crazy on the details of these loads, and it's really frustrating because it wastes a lot of my time looking through all this crap. I mean, that's the reason we have search filters, is so that, like, I can filter out the crap. But when the agents lie about the loads, then loads that would normally be filtered out show up in my list. So it's really, really annoying. So yeah, these loads up here at the top, they're a bunch of bullshit. They're like your local delivery driver with these things. You're driving all over the country. The mileage is not accurate. The mileage is way off, and it causes the rate per mile to be inflated. So you're driving all over the damn place, and you're probably making like $2 a mile or something. They're cheap crap is what these loads are. And the people who advertise these line haul runs, these dedicated runs where you're like a line haul driver for a week, they do the same thing. They lie about the mileage and everything else on these to get these loads up at the top of the list. These are trash, crap paying loads. Like, they're way below market is what these line haul runs pay. Kent, Washington is a terrible place to go. They're not paying enough of a premium to go to Kent, Washington, especially to haul 35,000 pounds over all those mountains. I would really like to go to Kent, Washington if I could find a load that was really nice. Like, Kent, Washington's not a good place to go. It's going to be like a pretty bad, you're going to take a bad load out of there most likely. But I would really love to get a load where I was like taking, like way, way up north. Like, what is it, the 94 up there? I would love to take the 94 across the north central United States. That'd be pretty sweet. I would love to drive across up there. Keep hearing noise outside. They're mowing the field across the street from me. This big tractor. All right, they got some loads that don't pick up for 2 months. September 17th, Joplin, Missouri to Antioch, California. I don't book out that far. Let's see. Joplin to, I don't know how to pronounce that, Visalia, California. It picks up tomorrow. Deerfield Beach, Florida. And he's paying decent. Like, I'm sure they'll probably find somebody that's willing to haul it to Florida for $4.63 a mile. Me personally, like $4.63 a mile is just like, it's like at the very bottom of the threshold of something I'd be willing to take to Florida. I would have to like really want to go to Florida or something to take it at that price. They're not gonna like trick me into going to Florida for that price. Maybe $5.50 a mile, like almost $1 more a mile. And yeah, I might jump on that load. I might go there. And you got this agency right here. This agency, their agency code is JUV. These are some shady sons of bitches. This is one of the agencies that I try to avoid doing business with just based off of their listings. Like right here, this column, if there's a Y in that column, that means that they are a direct shipper of that load. And JUV, almost everything they post that they are a direct shipper. And that is a load of bullshit. Most of the loads I see them post are spot market loads, and they list them that they are direct shipper loads. I don't trust that. I don't believe it. Because, you know, these loads going to Deerfield Beach, Florida, JUV has the load listed 3 times. And another agency has the load listed right here at the exact same price. And no, that's a different load. Oh, here's another agency that has that Joplin, Missouri to Deerfield Beach load listed at a higher price. There's actually that agency has the load listed 3 times. I don't know how many times that one load is on the board, but the only agent that has it listed as a direct shipper load is JUV. And JUV does this shit all the time. If they were a direct shipper on this load, then other Landstar agents wouldn't be able to list that load. This is a spot market load. The only loads that you're going to see listed by multiple Landstar agents is a spot market load. So yeah, this is some messed up crap. JUV's out here marking everything that they're direct shipper on every load, and they're not. Oh, that's a really good load. And it's JUV that has it listed, and they haven't listed that they're direct shipper. It's Joplin, Missouri to Brownsville, Texas. It's 873 miles, $6.30 a mile. Let's look and see if there's some bullshit in the details on this load. Nope. Nothing crazy about it. It's got a couple of extra days on it, but that's the reason it's paying such a premium, is because there's a couple of extra days on it. At this particular place in Joplin, Missouri, I picked up out of there one time. It was that load I took to San Diego. You're supposed to drop your trailer there, and they'll call you whenever your trailer's ready. They get 24 hours to load. But whenever I went there, they had me loaded in 30 minutes. So it's just all dependent on whether they have the freight there or not. They get 24 hours to load the trailer. Whether they take that or not is just really up in the air. You should plan on them taking the full 24 hours, but I got lucky and they didn't take the full 24 hours. But that place in Joplin, Missouri pays a crazy premium on the loads. Because of the extra loading time, the 24-hour load time. They pay a ridiculous premium on those loads. I really want to go up into like way north. Like maybe even way northwest. Like Seattle, Tacoma area, Kent, Washington area. I'm thinking I might want to get a load going up into there. But these loads they're not paying enough. I'm not going to like grab just because I want to go somewhere, that doesn't mean that I'm going to take whatever crap load is out there just to get there. I'm not desperate to get there or anything. I just think it'd be kind of cool to drive up there. Let me check something real quick. Joplin, Missouri to Kent, Washington. Let's see what route it suggests. It doesn't even have me going up all the way up 94. I mean, I think I do get on 94 eventually. It's over here. That's the 90. Yeah, the 94, where the 94 hits the 90. I think the 94 just kind of ends right there. So that is the suggested route if I take a load out of Joplin, Missouri. And there's a whole bunch of things about this route that I do not like. I would change a whole bunch of shit up on this route. Number one, they have me taking this sketch-ass Highway 69. Oh, it might not be so sketch. Wait a second. It's a divided highway. Throughout most of the way there. Well, maybe not most of the way. Yep. Oh, it's a... Yeah. I didn't know 69 was a nice divided highway like that. So that's not so bad. What I was going to do is come over here to Interstate 49 and take Interstate 49 up. But if Highway 69 is a nice divided highway most of the way, then yeah, I would take 69 up. The other spot that's jumped out to me is this highway. It's got me cutting across right here, this Highway 212. It's got me using that to cut across rather than stay on Interstate 90. Let's see what this is. Yeah, this is not some nice some nice divided highway. That's some bidirectional bullshit. So yeah, I'm not doing that crap. I would take the interstate. Anything else sketch that it's got me doing? No, it looks like the rest of it's all interstate. Yeah, that looks like a fun drive. And I don't really want to... I want to drive in cooler climate areas. And it's nice and cool in the central United States. But once you get like Phoenix west, it's really hot. Like LA was hot, Phoenix was hot, San Diego was nice. San Diego was like 60s, 70s. I think it got up to like 82 or something one day. San Diego was really nice, but LA and Phoenix were really hot. Let's look at national temperature map. I think it's this US Air. This is the one that's got the good map. There we go. These are the current temperatures in the United States. Oh, wow. The West Coast cooled off big time. All these people over here were complaining because it was, 100 degrees, and they're not used to getting into those temperatures. Now they're down in the 50s and 60s. So the jet stream has changed. Where do we have abnormally hot weather? Let's see. I'm not seeing any abnormally hot weather anywhere. Everything looks like abnormally cool for this time of year. Like Oklahoma City, July 12th, 77 degrees. That is cold for Oklahoma City. Like, we're usually 100 plus at this time of year. So this is like abnormally cold temperatures across most of the United States right now. Even these like 99s you're looking at right here, this is like some of the hottest places in the country. Phoenix, Arizona, 95. Las Vegas, 99. Like, I know people that live in Vegas, and they tell me horror stories about how it gets like 115 degrees in the summer. And if you, like, one of my buddies is a security guard in Vegas, and he said he had to bring two pairs of shoes to work, because if you wore one pair of shoes all day long, they would eventually melt and they would deform. So you couldn't wear one pair of shoes all day long walking around outside on the hot sidewalk. Otherwise, they would get ruined. So you would have to like switch shoes halfway through the day so that one pair of shoes didn't get too hot and, the soles deformed. Supposedly, he learned that from cops. Cops in the area gave him that tip. They had to wear multiple pair of shoes during the day to keep the soles from melting and deforming. So, yeah, 99 degrees, that's kind of warm for Vegas. 95 is warm for Phoenix. So, yeah, man, it's really, really nice temperatures across the whole damn country. Yeah, this is like, these temperatures are really, really nice. But you're not going to hear the news people talk about how we have unusually cold weather throughout the country. They'll only talk about the weather whenever it fits their agenda. We had all kinds of record-breaking cold events this past year, and they don't really talk about that shit. But if it ever gets hot, that's all they're going to talk about. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it looks like, I don't like, if I could get way up into the north, and especially over in the northeast, over like Kent, Washington, it looks like it is beautiful over there now, like in the 60s. And the reason it was such a big deal whenever they were getting up into the 90s in these areas is because it's not normal for people to have air conditioners in these types of areas. Down here in Oklahoma City, everybody has air conditioning because it gets 100 plus all the time in this area. But whenever I lived in Reno, Nevada, that's the first place I've ever lived where like people didn't have air conditioning. There were a lot of people that didn't have air conditioning. And it's because, well, air conditioning in Reno, Nevada, most newer homes have air conditioning, and a lot of the older homes are getting air conditioning installed. The thing is that Reno, Nevada will get hot during the day. It'll get up to like 100 degrees during the day. It's a high desert, so it's a really dry heat, which is a lot more tolerable than, a humid heat. So 100 degrees during the day, but at night, because it's a high desert, it will drop 30, 40 degrees or more. You could go from 100 during the day down to 55 at night. So most people in the olden days, they didn't sit in their house all day long. They would go to work or wherever during the day, and then they would come home. So they didn't really need air conditioning all day long. They would just open the windows, and it would get so cold at night that your house would stay cool most of the day, and around the time the inside of your house would start heating up, then it would get nighttime again and cool off. But so a lot of homes are getting air conditioning in Reno. All new homes have air conditioning in them that I know of. But there are areas of the country where it is common for people to not have like air conditioning. And when those places start getting 100-degree weather, that's the reason they talk about these places is because it can get really dangerous whenever you're talking, really unusual temperatures. Like, imagine Florida. Imagine if it got down to like -20 in Florida. People down there don't have homes or heating or anything to deal with that kind of temperature. If it gets down to -20 in Anchorage, Alaska, that's not newsworthy. But if it gets down to -20 in Florida, people could die over that shit because they're not prepared to deal with that kind of weather. Anyway, enough about the weather. The weather looks absolutely amazing right now. Can I look at like future predictions? This site is all kinds of janky. I have some ad blockers running that are probably causing the site to not display properly. But no. All right, so let's refresh. Let's see if there's anything new since last search. All right, what we got going on here? Marshall, Texas is not too terribly far from where I just delivered in Jacksonville, Texas. It's a mediocre load going over to Jamestown, North Carolina. Kansas to Denver, Colorado. $4.73 a mile. You see loads all day long around $5 a mile going to Denver. And it's because there's no freight coming out of Denver. It's probably worse than going to Florida. Going to Denver is really, really bad. $5 a mile is really common. If you're in a really hot market like the Los Angeles area, it's not uncommon to see $7 a mile loads going to Denver. All right, Fort Worth to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Albuquerque is not a very good place to be. There's a lot of dead zones in the United States where you do not want to deliver loads because you're going to be deadheading quite a distance to pick up your next load. Or you're going to probably be taking a cheap load if you can find one. McPherson, Kansas to Houston, Texas. Nah. You know what I can check out is I can check and see if there's a short mileage run. Let me pause this and change search parameters. All right, I dropped the minimum load price from $2,500 down to, I think, $1,200. And let's see if there's any really good short mileage runs. So we got some loads coming out of Oklahoma City going to Kissimmee, Florida. I don't know where in the hell Kissimmee, Florida is at, but $3.70 a mile going to Florida just doesn't really seem like a very good load to me. And a lot of these brokers and shippers and receivers, they think that if it's a really, really light load, like this one that's listed at 6,000 pounds, that they can pay nothing for that load. They can pay like $1 below market for those loads. No. I really like hauling light loads, but like you can't shave that much money off of them just because they're light. Because really, there's not a lot of difference between like a 5,000 pound load and a 20,000 pound load. Like I can't really tell a whole lot of the difference pulling those loads. There's not a big difference in how it handles. There's not a big difference in fuel economy. Just not a big difference between those loads. What else we got? What I'm really like eyeballing here is I'm looking for something that is close to Oklahoma City. I'm checking to see if there is like some short run that I can do. Just do it several times. So, for instance, if I were to find something that was really close to Oklahoma City and it was listed as direct shipper, then I could call up that broker. And if it's a direct shipper, that means that they're running those loads all the time. And I can ask them, like, how often are you getting these loads? It's like 3 times a week, once a month. And I might eventually be able to find something that I can do on a regular basis and make some decent money. Almost all the stuff that I found so far that I can make steady income on, it's paying far below market. Like those dedicated runs I looked at last time, the one going between Dallas and Oklahoma City, and the one going between Kansas City and Seattle. Those 2 loads were paying somewhere around like $280 a mile, full rate. And then after the percentage cuts, I was getting like $1.90 to $2 a mile. That is way below market right now. Way below market. I can run at much higher rate per mile just running random shit on the load board. All right, let me change search parameters again. There's no good short runs on here. All right, we're back. So I changed some search parameters. Now I changed it to only show loads over $4,000, and I set it to show multi-stop loads. Looks like we only got a couple of multi-stop loads. Multi-stop loads, if they're not up the top of the list on revenue, then I don't even really bother looking at them. All right, we got one right here for $9,000. It's going from Duncanville, Texas to Laredo, Texas with 2 stops. Let's see. It's 2,500 miles. So where all in the world has it got you driving? All right, so Duncanville, Texas to St. Peters, Missouri, Wales, Wisconsin, and then Laredo. That's actually not terrible places to go. Because a lot of these multi-stop loads, they have you going into really terrible markets. They'll have you going into places you don't want to go, like Connecticut, Massachusetts, places like that. And this is actually pretty much going north-south through the central U.S., which is a good place to drive. The only thing that really sucks about this is that it is 11 days for $9,000. That's a week and a half for $9,000. And they're only paying $219 in fuel surcharge. They're paying 34 cents a mile fuel surcharge and they're only paying it on 645 miles. This is 2,500 miles. Who's a dumbass that did this math? So let's figure out what you would make in a week and a half. This is crap. This is a really terrible load. So let's just do it off. Like, they're paying almost nothing in fuel surcharge. So let's just do 8919.3. Let's not even factor in fuel surcharge times 65%. You're getting $3,700, $3,768, almost $3,800 for a week and a half. How much is that on a weekly basis? So divide that by 11 to get your daily rate, and multiply that times 7. So you're getting $2,400 a week gross to the truck. That is absolute dog shit. Like, that is so bad. $2,400 a week gross to the truck. This is the reason I don't typically look at multi-stop loads, is whenever you look at the time investment and the mileage and all the factors involved, all the time you're going to spend loading and unloading and all the rest of that crap, you're going to work really hard and make very little money. This is such a ridiculously bad load. Like, this thing is crazy bad. Let's just get away from that. That is such a terrible load. And we've already looked at these Springfield, Oregon loads. Oh, are they finally dumping the damn trash? I hear the trash truck outside. Where's that? Oh, there it is. It's over here. He's over there. Right there. The thing is, we had the holiday weekend, and I think it's just totally screwed up everything that they're doing. And they're way behind on everything. Yay, he's dumping my trash can right now. As soon as I finish this video, I'm going to go down there and bring the trash can back inside. They almost always dump my trash at around 6 a.m. real early in the morning. And they are I don't know why they're running so late today. It's, what time is it? It's almost noon. It's 11:46 a.m. And people, like, can't do simple things. They can't, like, read. It tells you whenever you're setting out your trash cans to set them at least 5 feet apart, because they have those big hooks they're bringing in to try to grab the trash can, and people just put their trash cans right up against one another, and it makes it a real pain in the ass for these guys to separate the trash cans to pick them up. I mean, they do hundreds of these per day, so they get really good at it, because most of these dumbasses don't know how to put their trash cans out. I mean, it's just baffling. Like, the most basic day-to-day shit that people do wrong. You're like, how do these sons of bitches, how have they lived so long? Like, if it was a survival of the fittest world out there, most of these people wouldn't make it. All right. Let's see what we got going on. There's nothing amazing here. Where let me look up where the hell Antioch, California is at. Oh man, no way. That's not terrible. Northern California, I don't really like to get over into the Bay Area. I don't like messing with Oakland or San Francisco, Hayward, San Jose. I don't like messing with any of this crap over here. The Tracy area, that's pretty sweet. That's nice. I don't mind that. You know, Tracy, Stockton, you know, these areas east, not too shabby. But I don't want to touch the Bay Area. And this is not Bay Area, but it's kind of close. Really, the only loads that I like to do in California are loads that take me into the San Bernardino area and straight back out. So yeah, I'm not really wanting to mess with that Antioch. All right, where's Visalia, California? It's probably Antioch as well. It's probably the exact same. Nope, Visalia is nowhere near that. So that's Central California. This is out in the middle of nowhere. This I-5 out here in between the Northern and Southern California, that is a pretty damn nice drive. It is like farm country. I've never, what is this? Is this the 99? Yeah, it's the 99. I've never taken the 99 across Central California. I don't know what that's like. But I'm probably going to have a couple 100-mile deadhead either going to Northern or Southern California to pick up a load after delivering that one. And it's most likely going to be to Southern California. The Southern California market is far superior to the Northern California market. At least from what I've seen. Little Rock to Fort Pierce, Florida. There's not like not really good loads. I would really like a really good load to leave the house on. Like that load that I got the last one I left the house on, Joplin to San Diego is paying $6,500. That was a really good load. That was paying like $420 a mile. They're paying the exact same amount to go to Antioch, which is much more mileage, and it's like it comes out to be like 60 cents a mile less. Oh, this is that load that doesn't pick up until September. Same price for this Visalia load. Ooh, Diamond Bar, California. This picks up tomorrow. I'm not going to be able to do this load. It's got 6 days on it, but it's $421 a mile. Diamond Bar, California. Ooh, and this agency, QXM, they're the ones that I hauled that last Joplin load for. Or was it QXU? I would have to double check. Let's see where Diamond Bar is. Ooh, that is Ontario area. Pomona. That's not too far past San Bernardino. I could deal with that. Damn. If that load did not pick up tomorrow, I'm not ready to leave the house tomorrow. I might try to grab another load going to the Southern California area out of Joplin. That's what I might try to leave the house on. Try to get Southern California out of Joplin, get back down there, and man, do another $10,000 a week. Let's see how crazy the loads are coming out of Southern California. Let me pause this. All right, I set it to only show loads over $6,500 and over $350 a mile, and meet all my other search parameters, which I don't want to see loads over 38,000 pounds. So it's loads under 38,000 pounds, over $6,500, minimum of $350 a mile, and there's 50 loads popping up within 300 miles of Fontana, California. So what do we got going on here? Mariloma to Orlando, Florida. Picks up July 28th. That is quite a ways out. And it's not paying like really well. Wow. These rates are not very good for Southern California. What in the hell's going on? I think the freight market still hasn't picked up since the July 4th holiday. It still hasn't like stabilized since the July 4th holiday. Um, Normally, when I look at the Southern California market, it is just like pages and pages of loads over $8,000. And then the loads up here at the very top are $9, $10, $11, $12,000 loads. And we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4 loads over 8 grand. That is pretty damn weird. Now I know I have really strict search parameters, but like I'm comparing what I'm seeing right now against these same search parameters. The total number of loads on the load board, let me double check it really quick. The total number of loads on the load board are only 66,000. That is really low. Like those are the kind of numbers you get like after hours, or right when the day starts. And we're halfway through the day right now. We should be 75,000 plus. On a good day, you'll get 80,000. The highest I've ever seen it was right around 90,000 loads. 66,000 loads is really, really, really low for Landstar's load board because there's a lot of duplicate loads on the board, and there's a lot of loads that don't get cleaned off the board like they're supposed to. So 66,000 loads is really low for Landstar's load board. I wonder if the spot market is really bad right now. Let me pause this and check something real quick. All right, so I checked a couple of news sites like Freight Waves, and they're not reporting anything on the freight market taking a downturn. But most of these news sites are way behind on shit. Like Freight Waves had an article about how the West was still under some massive heat wave that was published today, and we just looked at the temperatures, and the West Coast is in like the 50s and the 60s. So they're not under a massive heat wave right now. You need to like stop doing articles based on information from a week ago. So yeah, most of these news sources are way behind on reporting shit. They report shit way after it happens. I think that we may freight is tanking this week. So container ships. Look at this YouTube video right here. Container shipping shortage triggers freight rate spike of 500%. Now, if we have a container shortage, that may affect the cost to ship goods, but our freight rates as truck drivers, that's going to drive them down. If there's fewer containers coming in, then there's going to be fewer loads. Those drivers that normally haul containers are going to start hauling other shit because there's not enough containers for them to haul. And that's going to take away loads from other people. So that could be a reason. If we're dealing with a container ship shortage, then maybe that is the reason freight rates are starting to, go down this week. Um, Here's one person that posted 14 hours ago that freight is dead right now. And then we got this dumb shit right here, this Big Rig Radio Network guy right here. Spot Market Fire on the 123 load board. I think he gets paid to advertise the 123 load board. I've listened to some of his videos, and he just, there's a bunch of dumb shit comes out. I think he gets paid to say a bunch of stuff. You notice in the background he's got all this. He's got posters of 123 load board and all kinds of banners of 123 load board and stuff like that going on. So you can't trust this headline right here. The spot market's on fire on 123 load board. This guy is getting paid to promote that stupid shit. And I'm not seeing much else. Huh. So yeah, this is really bad. I mean, not like for the way the market's been for the last year. These rates in Southern California are pretty bad. Mira Loma to Orlando, like $3.65 to go to Orlando. Out of Southern California going to Florida for $3.65. That's not very good. Mercury, Nevada to Fort Belvoir, whatever, Virginia, $3.50 a mile, coast to coast. This is not very good. I mean, just last week. Well, I don't know about last week because last week was before a holiday, freight slows down, and then after a holiday, it usually takes like a week before freight gets back to normal. So I didn't really watch freight, a lot last week because it was just doing weird stuff because it was after a holiday. But what we're dealing with right now, this should not be like repercussions of a holiday. And this is scary. Looking at the loads that I'm seeing in Southern California, let me double check my search parameters and see if there isn't something weird. I couldn't find anything weird on my search parameters. I went ahead and bumped it up to 45,000 pounds. I don't even know if I could haul 45,000 pounds with my heavy ass tractor. But it didn't improve things very much. Now that's how many loads we have over $8,000. Before the holiday, it was pages and pages and pages of loads over $8,000. Now, there's only 86 loads within a 300-mile radius of Fontana, California, that a dry van driver can haul that's not hazmat. That's about the only search parameters I have set up right now. The only restriction I really have is no hazmat. Aside from that, all dry van loads. That a solo driver, that's another restriction, it's teams. There's no team freight showing up. And this is scary. I'm hoping that tomorrow I see a lot more rates and a lot more loads. And I'm going to go, after I finish this video, I'm going to start looking for YouTube videos and news articles to see if I can't figure out what in the hell is going on with the freight market, because we might have just turned a corner in the freight market. I know that there's a bunch of shortages we're dealing with in manufacturing and logistics and stuff, like the container ship shortage. I don't know what the story is behind that. I just know that there's some drama going on with container ships, and there's not as many containers moving as there normally is, and that is going to have repercussions throughout the entire supply chain. I think that there's some kind of plastic. So there's a, if I remember correctly, there's a plant somewhere. I forget what country it is, probably China, and they made packaging material, like a foam packaging material, which is, I believe, plastic based. And that plastic plant blew up or something. And they were responsible for like a huge percentage of packaging materials worldwide. You know, something crazy like, I mean, there are places in China that, like one territory or whatever in China, like Wuhan province, I think that something like 80% of car parts were manufactured there. So whenever that territory shut down, there was a huge slowdown in car production. So there are places in various parts of the world that have, like, our supply chain and our manufacturing is not evenly distributed around the world. There are places that are like single points of failure that can like cripple the entire worldwide economy. So there's a lot of things happening right now. So I'm probably going to need to do some research to figure out what in the hell is going on. And then once I understand what's going on, then I can get an idea of like how long it's going to last and how bad it's going to get. But this is like, just looking at the loads coming out of Southern California, this is making me, honestly, with these load prices, I'm not going to go out of my way to go to Southern California. It's not worth it to go to Southern California with these kind of rates. I can get $3.50 a mile all over the country. I'm not going to go deal with Southern California for $3.50 a mile. The only reason that I bother going to Southern California is that you can get some really amazing loads out of there. And yeah, there are some decent loads up here at the top, but like these are not amazing loads. Heard a bunch of doors slamming. It's one of my neighbors. Yeah, this is a little scary. I don't know how much people pay attention to the load board when I'm going through it, or how familiar, you know, anybody watching my video is with the Landstar load board, but I try to, you know, look at it on a regular basis, and you know that way I can tell what's normal and what's not. And what I'm seeing right now in the southern Los Angeles area, this is highly abnormal. These rates are quite a bit lower than normal. And when I say normal, I'm talking about the freight market has been absolutely crazy high for about a year. Like the freight market has just been amazing for about a year. That is the current normal. That's what I'm saying. These prices right now, it's like, you know, our amazing freight market is coming down, going back to like a normal freight market. That sucks if that's what's happening. Hopefully this is something short term. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on this. This is freaking me out a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the video there, and I'm gonna do some research to figure out what in the hell is going on with these freight rates. This is some troubling shit right here. The holiday ended last week, right? Yeah, we had an entire week after the holiday. This is the second week after the holiday. The holiday should not be impacting freight right now. This is weird. Hopefully it picks up tomorrow. We'll see. I'm gonna watch a bunch of videos, read the news, figure out what's going on. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. And I have no idea when I'm gonna leave the house. If the freight market just took a shit, then I don't know what I'm gonna do. Maybe I need to go out and get it while the getting's good before it completely tanks. Or if I think it's going to be short term, then I might just sit at the house for a month and wait it out. I don't know. We will see. I'll have to do some research, figure out what's going on. So thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.